morning, everyone. I am thrilled to be here from the city of Detroit, where there's 3 inches of snow on the ground in April. I'm not wearing socks today. Woohoo! It's a good day. I spent 35 years wanting absolutely nothing to do with God. I was an agnostic New Ager, into seances on a regular basis, and going to psychics regularly. I did not believe that Jesus Christ actually existed, and I can't believe I'm going to be here this morning and say this in front of this most magnificent crucifix. I hated his church. I made fun of every Christian I knew. And I had no idea that I was the one who was lost. You see, I had bought into the lies of Satan. I had bought into the lies of Satan that tells you that if you can acquire stuff, the things of this world, you can find happiness, you can find peace, you can find fulfillment. It is the greatest lie there is. And it only causes despair, and we see it everywhere in our lives as Christians. Even in our own lives. And the only answer to Satan's lie is this crucifix. Because that is love. And that is how much we are loved. And if you really understood that, then you would get up every day and say, go make a difference. Lord, how can I serve you today? But I didn't know that. From the outside, it looked like I had it all. I'm a former Miss Michigan. I was a Miss America runner-up. I was also a Miss America talent winner. I'm not going to tell you that the year I was at Miss America, Miss Tennessee won. Sorry, and it was totally not fair. I'm just saying, I'm sitting there in Atlantic City in the interview, I'm waiting in the lobby, and Kelly Cash, Johnny Cash's niece, comes out of the interview and says, oh, that was the most incredible interview. They just wanted to hear about my uncle. And I'm thinking, oh, well, that's good to know. They're nice. So I walk in, the first question, tell us about the change in the Fifth Amendment at the Michigan Constitution. Do you know what my answer was? I thought you wanted to hear about my uncle. He's a plumber in Michigan. And from there we had a blast. I actually won the interview. Just saying. When I won the Miss America Talent Award, I will never forget, I had my very first press conference. And of course my father was a plumber, my mother cleaned houses and was a nurse. We had never been in a press conference before. So the press said, Mr. Garver, you must be so proud. And I'll never forget, he stood up and said, she's the best mistake I ever made. Really? I'm looking at my mom going, you never told me. My mother looks at me and says, you're the second. Mistake? No, the second kid. He was kidding. Never kid around in a press conference. It will haunt you the rest of your life. We had 2 beautiful children. And a house that was 5 times bigger than the house I grew up in. I had it all. And yet I was sinking into a deep depression. And the emptiness was swallowing me alive. And to make matters worse, I was told my mother was going to die. I find myself on my hands and knees in a University of Michigan bathroom floor. How glamorous is that, right? Crying out to a God I did not know. To a God that I had actually said, get out of my life. When I was 23 years old, I felt God's presence in such a powerful way, and I said, get out of my life. I don't want to feel guilty. I rejected God. And there I am on all fours, crying out to him for the first time. If you just save her life, I will give you my life. I will make you a trade. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you are. But I will give you my life if you keep her alive. And can you imagine if that was a movie? The heavens rip open, and there's the Archangel Gabriel. Oh, happy day. Where's the man when I need him? Within the next 6 months, people literally came out of the woodwork sharing their testimony with me, telling me how God had pulled them out of darkness and transformed their lives and given them purpose and peace. And I had neither one. I had all the stuff of the world, the money, the glamour, the big necklace. Isn't this great? But I wasn't happy because I had no peace and I had no purpose. And when God transforms your life from pupa to butterfly, we have to tell our story. And that is what changes lives. Nobody needs a theological dissertation about Jesus Christ. They want to know how God has transformed your life. Tell your story. I was desperate for someone to tell their story. And I became a born-again Christian in the Baptist church because every person that shared their story came from the Baptist community. Meanwhile, on the home front, I'm driving my cradle Catholic husband absolutely insane. Because now all of a sudden, after how many years of marriage, I'm like, Jesus this, did you know Jesus did that? Hey, did you hear about the one about Jesus and the water and the healing? And my husband had had enough. And I will never forget the day he stood at the top of our stairs, screaming at me, tell me now, because this is not the person I married. Are you one of those born-again, wacko Christians that we hate? Now, there was a loaded question, right? And I'm thinking, now that I know you, I can't lie. You're going to have to give me the words to say, Lord. And I looked at him and I said, honey, you're a Christian too. And he said, oh, no, I'm not. I'm a Catholic. We then began what I call an apologetic holy war. I'm in my Baptist camp and I'm trying to pull him out of the Catholic Church. He knows nothing about his faith, but thank heavens for Catholic answers and theologians like Scott Hahn and Tim Staples and Catholic radio. And he's coming home every day from work with 4 inches of apologetic material, the intellectual reasons why we had to remain Catholics. And he'd throw it on my desk and say, don't talk to me till you read this. And then, of course, I'd say, but did you read it? No, I didn't read it yet. No, he actually did. He did. He read it. And there we are, going back and forth. I started asking way too many questions in our Bible study, and I was asked to leave. It was the year 2000, and I had to become a Catholic. Oh, the treasures of the Catholic Church. What we have is so magnificent. I also looked around, and there was nobody there. Our church holds 1,500 people. The blue-haired army was there, praise God. But that was about it. No infantry foot soldiers, no young people, no families. And I'm sitting there thinking, how is this possible? And I'm crying out to God, why would you put me here? Again. By the second station, Jesus is being flogged. I'm a mess. I'm sobbing. I know I'm overly dramatic, and I'm like this all the time, but man, what he did for us. And I started feeling the most horrific pain. I grabbed my husband's arm. I could hardly breathe. And when I looked over the altar, I saw the most beautiful vision. I saw the cross and the light, which I will show you a video at the end of my talk, but I saw it. in high def, not with my eyes, with the eyes of my soul. And I heard God say, "This is why you are here." This vision I had came at a church called Our Lady of Sorrows. How providential is that, right? I had no idea who Our Lady was at that time. And now I look back, and she was the one who led me the foot of the cross and said, "Look how much my son loves you and what he did for you. Just look at him." Because his mercy is endless. And in this year of mercy, we need to know that his mercy and forgiveness is endless. And I mounted my first professional production with 80 people at the Blessed Sacrament Cathedral in Detroit. Has anyone ever been there? Yeah, nobody in Detroit has been there either. But the rector-president said to me, "But you're going to go bankrupt. No one will come. And how are you going to raise the money?" I said, no, don't worry. I got the money. I only had $10,000. I only needed $190,000 more in the next 9 months. I had it. I had to go back to confession to him and say, "Okay, I lied. I never did have the money." I'm not kidding. I just was not a business person. I just got out of the boat, went on the water, and said, "Lord, I need $190,000 in ticket sales to a place that nobody will come to because it's in the worst part of Detroit." I had no director. I directed. I had no producer. I produced. I also painted the sets between 3 and 4 a.m. And guess what? 2011, 2012, 22,000 people packed into the Blessed Sacrament Cathedral. Praise God! I had found my purpose in life. Truly. The Cross and the Light is an epic Broadway-style musical touring the country, and in Sydney, Australia next year, in Adelaide, Australia the last couple of years. It is a transformative, intentional encounter event, multi-sensory video experience where we come into churches all over the country and light up the walls of your church with incredible cinematic imagery, 150-foot wide by 30-foot high, Broadway singers that take you from Christ's entrance into Jerusalem, his crucifixion, his death, his resurrection, and the start of the church, and it is transforming lives across the country. I had no idea that the Cross and the Light would be such a huge solution to the problems in our church. We have an 80% dropout rate. 80% of our people that go through the system now, by 23, leave the church. And why does research say they leave? It's not because of the abortion issue. It's not because they want women to be priests. It's none of those reasons. They leave because church is boring. They leave because they say church is not relevant. And when people think boring, not relevant, it means not true. Why don't we take a hint as the Catholic Church? We have the greatest story of all time. And if we get people emotionally engaged in Jesus, we have more sharing behavior, evangelization. We have more recall, prayer, and contemplation. And we have more loyalty. And the Cross and the Light allows people to be immersed in the story in a multimedia way, with music and theater and cinematic imagery, and that's why it changes lives. When people feel what Jesus felt in the garden as he is sweating blood, crying out to his Father. As people feel and are emotionally connected to Peter's guilt when he denies Christ, and when they see our Blessed Mother before the cross, knowing that her son had been horribly and brutally murdered, and she was not aware of a Holy Saturday. She was not aware of Easter Sunday. And she still trusted God. In fact, let's roll that video so you can experience it yourselves.
Let them sing.
Hosanna, Hosanna.
The Cross and the Light. A baptism of the imagination. rock your faith in this spectacular musical and video surround experience.
This thing is absolutely the epitome of Christian media performance and talent and craft.
Where are your miracles now?
It's a story of common men and women just like us.
If you are
They
really
find themselves called on an incredible journey.
come down here
From
and
Christ's joyous entry into Jerusalem through his horrible murder,
come down off the cross,
and to the surprising events that transform their lives.
turn this water into wine. Give us a sign.
This is a 2,000-year-old story that everybody knows, but the way it's presented is relevant in the 21st century.
From the cross.
It was our sin that put Jesus on the cross, yet he forgave me. That's ultimately the gospel story.
The suffering is too much to bear. Will they understand?
The Cross and Light ought to be on Broadway. This will involve you, connect you, engage you, and it's absolutely a life-changing experience.
It blew me out of the water.
Every kid will like this.
It's such a joy. It was amazing. It gave me chills. I loved it.
I'm going to be telling everybody I can about it.
Don't miss this life-changing event.